Let me throw this at you. You tell me. Is this somebody you want in your team? Okay.
All right, lay it out.
What's Major League average this year for batting average? About?
Probably 232.
Okay.
I will confirm the number, but last I checked, there were 9 teams hitting below 230.
Pick whichever stat you like. What's your favorite What's your favorite offensive stat that decides whether or not a player is playing well?
For me, it's become OPS.
Okay.
Because if you get a walk nowadays, that's a good thing.
Okay. OPS, and what do you consider a good OPS?
700.
Okay. So how do you feel about 821?
You're doing great.
You want that guy?
821, you're awesome. You're almost an all-star.
Okay.
I mean, Lamont Wade Jr. has got to be close to 900, and he is an all-star.
He's playing like one.
Right. I don't know if he'll get there.
Yeah, at the first base position, there's lots to choose from.
True, but the Giants might be in that you get one guy mode.
Probably a pitcher.
Doval.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Logie. We'll see what happens with
Snelly.
Snelly
cat. He's not getting there. So watch a lot of Friends in our house.
So 821 was the OPS I threw out.
Really good.
Lamont Wade's is 885.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
821 OPS, batting average 280.
Burley.
7 home runs.
Hefty.
In 143 at bats. You do math quicker than I do.
That's 20. That's actually 21 for every 20.
Which is like, I don't know, McGuire type levels.
It's good, really good.
Yeah, 143. Yeah.
I love how you got to double check.
No,
me.
I want the decimal. It's like
20.08.
20.4.
Okay.
20.4.
Whatever. My fractions aren't what they used to be. We talking about fractions.
Yeah. Good baseball player, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so why the hell do all of you want Michael Conforto to just ride pine because Elliot Ramos had a nice weekend? Seriously, what's the matter with all of you? And by the way, let me back up. That's not all of you.
Okay, thank you.
But
because we had a meeting about that last week.
I know, I'm sorry. Bob's driving around. He's like, I like Conforto.
Stop responding to the lunatic fringe. Look.
Well, no, it's not the lunatic fringe. I hear this in places.
They're lunatics and they're on the fringe.
No, some of them are right down Broadway, and that's fine. I want to be welcoming here. I, too, was inspired by Ramos, Luciano, and Matos over the weekend. But I want to be careful and draw a line between Michael Conforto and Austin Slater. These are two very different situations. Do not let your Austin Slater frustration, and to a degree at times this year, Yaz frustration, don't let it spill into Michael Conforto's locker just because he's been here for a minute and he's a veteran.
And he's been hurt too.
Yeah, don't get mad at Michael Conforto. This is a guy who, by the way, has an 810 career OPS.
Okay.
And this year, it's at 821. He is still tied for the team lead in home runs, even though he's been hurt. And he hasn't been hurt for a while. He got hurt for a week and a half. He got hurt. Got a little dinged up.
Probably out for another week.
I
don't even know if he's just now resuming running activity according to sources.
Well, they don't have to hurry now because they've got some people who for the moment are producing. But
I'd be surprised if he played on this road trip.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Point is that I know we all have a healthy dose of like Farhan fear right now, which is to say that when veterans come back who are underperforming, you're going to send Ramos and Luciano back down because veterans or because your signings or whatever. And I get that, and that's fair. If we're talking about Austin Slater or even Nick Ahmed, I think those are real conversations. But you can't you're not looking at your $18 million left fielder who has spent much of the year as your best middle-of-the-order hitter and telling a clubhouse, we're benching you because Ramos hit one hard over the weekend. You don't do that to people. You don't do that to players, and that's not what makes your team its best right now. These things tend to work themselves out, and I hope Ramos and Matos and Luciano force their way onto the roster all year long. And there are ways to do that without damaging those who were already in place who are playing well. I've just heard it in a couple spots where Conforto is catching strays because he was on the team last year, because he's a veteran, because he doesn't represent the youth and the future and the homegrown. But Michael Conforto has been, like, if not fantastic, he's been in the area code.
He's been great.
He's been really good. And so this idea that when he comes back, you still got to ride pine because we're interested in Ramos, I think there's space for everybody. If there are days where that gets platoony for a little while, I'd be cool with it. One's righty, one's lefty. There are ways to do it to keep everybody on the same page in the clubhouse. But to just brush him aside like he hasn't done anything, I think would be a huge mistake.
And you won't do it because he's having his best year since 2020, and that includes 2021 with the Mets and then a year where he didn't play at all, and last year he wasn't this good. He leads the team in home runs. You're not going to take him out of the lineup. And if it does mean that Elliot Ramos has to not start the game unless there's a lefty starting pitcher, then that's the way that's going to go. You have a righty starter. You're going to play Conforto. You're going to let him go up there and get his hacks and play his way back into it as a left-handed bat. That's just good, solid baseball sense. And you add in the fact that he's one of your best hitters on the regular, and he's making $18 million.
Right.
So you're not just going to take a guy who's one of your highest paid players and say, well, we got a hot young kid. You're going to have to wait. We're going to have to slow play you, and we're going to have you sit, and maybe you go on a rehab assignment for a week because, we want Ramos to get these at-bats. No, you don't do that.
Making up injuries to the guy, yeah.
Exactly. You might do that for Slater, and also keep in mind where the roster is right now. You still have Brett Wisely up, so when Conforto is ready, you don't have to do anything with Ramos or Matos. It's Wisely is the next one out.
There's totally room. You're absolutely right. Tyler Fitzgerald already got sent out. Wisely is there. They've probably got an extra bullpen arm right now because of Blake Snell and Keaton Wynn both being on the injured list.
Right.
And so there are a lot of ways to do it. I'm totally with you. The question for Ramos is when Slater's ready, and I have no idea when that's going to be. That's a concussion. That's more mysterious. There is Patrick Bailey who needs to enter back into the roster, but that probably means Blake Sable is going to get sent back down, which, by the way, I am anticipating that here very soon.
Maybe today even.
Yeah, like I think Bailey's going to be activated today, but not in the starting lineup is what I'm hearing. And so, yeah, there are plenty of roster moves to come, but Conforto coming back does not necessarily mean Ramos is going anywhere, but it also does not mean, like, keep this in mind, the way that plays in a dugout or in a clubhouse. You got to be careful. Everybody's excited for the arrival of the young players. At the same time, the players in that dugout and in that clubhouse, they want to win, and there is also a respect level that needs to be given to players who perform for a team. That's a thing. And believe me, all of the stuff that the Giants went through in recent years with Gabe Kapler, where guys felt jerked around, especially veterans who felt like they'd been promised something, that doesn't land well. Now, you care less when someone's ERA is 5.5, and they're like, I was told I would start. It's like, dude, you know what I mean? That's kind of how I felt about Alex Wood. It's like, my dude, get your ERA in the 3s, and then we can have a conversation. But if you're a veteran and you're performing and you've got your spot, that's not going to play well to the team if they come back and start jerking around Conforto. Hey, Michael, I know you're healthy, but how about an ankle sprain? Does that sound good?
Right.
Let's do an ankle sprain because Ramos is fun and our crowd is yelling. Like, you can't do that to a guy because that's how you create discord within your team.
Especially when you've got veterans and you have a guy who's had a great year to date and he had a little bit of a hammy issue, and so now he's on the shelf, and doesn't mean that you're going to move off him. Now, Slater's a more interesting one. When he returns, you're going to have to figure out a way to balance the roster because you're not ready to part with Austin Slater, yet you don't want to get rid of any of these young guys. I do think that the move today, if Bailey gets activated, will be Wisely, because you don't want to just have two catchers if you're not totally sure that Patrick Bailey is ready to get in there right away. You want to have the emergency third catcher, so you might have Sable here until Conforto is healthy, and then Sable gets moved out.
I've not received the roster move email yet, so we'll see. Those usually do come out. Let's see. Let's go live to Mark Grandy. Yeah, what's in the lineup today?
Yeah, I don't know about a roster moves, but Casale is catching tonight.
Casale's catching.
He's catching tonight. But also Ryan McKenna, the new outfielder, he's starting, batting 7th and playing right field.
Oh, really?
Ryan McKenna.
He's up.
Relatively straightforward elsewhere. Soler, DH, can still leading off. McKenna in, Casale in, so no Patrick Bailey still, no Conforto, obviously. Everything else is relatively straightforward, except Flores at first instead of Lamont Wade because there is a lefty tonight.
They're facing a lefty tonight. Okay, so there you have it.